our family to make sure that everybody's voted. Who has voted already? We got people out here. If you haven't voted, please go in front of this, and they'll make sure that they can show you a pathway to go vote today for our governor of Georgia. At this time, it is my honor to have Vice President Mike Pence and our governor, Brian Kemp, in Forsyth County.
Well, thanks so much, Lauren. It's an honor for us to be here. We only got 6.5 more days to keep working to make sure Stacey Abrams ain't going to be our governor or your next president. We've been telling you everywhere we've gone on the hard-working Georgians bus tour, we're in a fight for the soul of our state. We have been doing good in this state because we have been saying no to Stacey Abrams. We said no to her when she didn't want us to reopen small parts of our economy that we had asked to help us stop the spread, flatten the curve, build PPE supplies and hospital bed capacities during a very tough time in our state and in our country. And they did that. But you know what? As a small business owner for 35 years, I understood the pain they were feeling. Georgians are not going to sit in their basement and lose everything they got because of a virus. And we gave them the opportunity to make a decision to go back to work, to open their businesses, for you all to patronize those businesses. Because we've been there before. We know how that feels as small business owners, Marty and I. By the way, greatest First Lady in the country, Marty Kemp, with us today. But you know, we weren't listening to Stacey Abrams. We weren't listening to the national media. We weren't listening to the Atlanta media. We weren't listening to the healthcare pundits that were sitting in their basement, getting paid, criticizing people like us. We were listening to you. We were listening to the restaurant people. We were listening to the barbers and the cosmetologists. That's who we were fighting for. We listened to you as well when I had teachers and athletic directors coming to me going, we got to get our kids back in the classroom. Because that's what the data said. It's what the data said in the Trump-Pence administration is what the data says now. Our kids need to be in the classroom. And this state was one of the first in the country to start doing that. Stacey Abrams criticized that decision too. She did not trust you to make that decision with your children. She trusted the government or a person in power of the government. And we saw what that got us in other states around the country. But we were listening to you, and because we've done that, we've got an incredible economy. We've got the most people ever working in the history of the state, the lowest unemployment rate in the history of the state. We've had 2 record years in a row for jobs and investment and economic prosperity, that we're using that money to help you fight through 40-year high inflation caused by the Biden agenda in Washington, D.C. We've suspended the gas tax since March to help you fight through bad domestic energy policy. We have cut taxes, and we've sent your tax dollars back to you to help you fight high prices at the grocery store because of this agenda in Washington, D.C. But listen, 2 years ago when I was making those decisions was about the time liberals around the country, including Stacey Abrams, that started saying it was okay to defund the police. Well, that's not okay. As long as I'm your governor, we will stand with our men and women in law enforcement, and we are not going to be defunding the police. So I want to thank y'all for being in this fight with us. We only got 6.5 days to go. We cannot let up. Do not believe the polls. Don't believe the media. We got to work like we've never worked before. And it's my honor now to introduce somebody here that has worked for this state, that was there when we needed him during tough times in our state and across the country. Someone that's not only been a great vice president and a great friend to our state, but a great friend to our family. He's a good man. I'm glad to have him back. He's been with us the whole time. Former Vice President Mike Pence. Y'all give him a big Georgia welcome.
Well, hello, Georgia. It is great to be with you today, just 6.5 days away from a great American comeback that goes straight through Georgia when we re-elect Governor Brian Kemp to 4 more years at the State House. It's really a joy to be back here with the governor. And I think, and to be back with literally the best First Lady in the United States of America. Marty Kemp, thank you. Thank the girls. What an incredible family. You know, I'm here today because Brian Kemp is my friend. And he's a friend to everyone that cherishes faith and family and freedom. I'm here because Brian Kemp is singularly one of the most successful conservative governors in the United States of America. And finally, I'm here because Stacey Abrams can never be governor of the great state of Georgia. We've got to re-elect Brian Kemp for 4 more years. You know, when the governor asked if I'd come back and campaign with him, get back on the bus, I said yes in a heartbeat. Because the fact is, I think there's no better governor in America than Brian Kemp. It's true. Under Brian's leadership and I can honestly say I was for Brian Kemp before it was cool. I came in that primary 4 years ago. I saw his quality. I sensed his commitment. I sensed his backbone. I knew he would lead Georgia to unprecedented prosperity and security, and Brian Kemp has delivered for all the people of the Peach State. I mean, it's incredible with Brian Kemp here in Georgia and his strong support and partnership with the Trump-Pence administration. I have to tell you, it was my great honor to be your vice president at a time that we achieved the lowest unemployment, the highest household incomes, the most energy production, the most pro-American trade deals, and we made the strongest military in the history of the world, stronger than ever before. And Brian Kemp advanced that very same agenda here in Georgia. No one in Georgia's history has done more to create jobs, cut taxes, restore sanity to your schools, put criminals behind bars, protect the unborn, and secure all the God-given liberties enshrined in the Constitution of the United States than Governor Brian Kemp. I mean, I flew here from Indiana this morning. And I love the Hoosier State. But I got to tell you, I was governor of the state of Indiana before I was your vice president. And competing with Georgia was pretty tough. But it's never been tougher. Yeah, okay. I knew you'd bring the dogs up. I knew it didn't take too long. But really competing for the economy. 8 years in a row, Georgia has the #1 business climate in America, thanks to the leadership of Governor Brian Kemp. And it didn't just happen. I mean, Brian Kemp cut the income taxes by $1 billion. He returned another $1 billion to the people of this great state. And let me be very clear about this. Georgia was not one of the first states to reopen its economy and end the shutdowns. Georgia was the first state in America to open up again. And Governor Brian Kemp led the way. And I got to tell you, at a time when we see a Biden-Harris administration in their war on energy, Governor Brian Kemp has been standing for American energy independence. During our 4 years, we became a net exporter of energy for the first time in 70 years. And Governor Brian Kemp has fought, and gasoline prices today are 20% lower in Georgia than the national average. And I got to tell you, as a father and a grandfather, I couldn't be more grateful that Governor Brian Kemp signed a Parents' Bill of Rights so we can root out political indoctrination from our classrooms, and he banned critical race theories from our schools. And right out of the gate, in the last year and a half, Governor Brian Kemp signed one of the strongest election integrity bills in America. Now, his opponents said that the election integrity bill was going to lead to voter suppression. President Joe Biden actually said that the new bill, the new law here in Georgia was a modern-day Jim Crow. But as we stand here today, it has never been easier to vote or harder to cheat in Georgia, and early voting turnout is higher than it was 4 years ago. So I'm here because I believe in Governor Brian Kemp, a man of integrity, a man of conviction, and a true leader. But I'm also here because Stacey Abrams can never be governor of the state of Georgia or lead an administration anywhere else in America. I mean, Stacey Abrams may be the weakest candidate on crime in the history of Georgia. You heard what she said in that recent debate. Now, the governor said he had to correct himself. He said in the debate that 108 sheriffs had endorsed him. 107. But actually, it's actually 111 sheriffs across Georgia have endorsed Governor Brian Kemp. And let's thank Sheriff Ron Freeman from right here in Cummings. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for your service. You know, we all know Stacey Abrams is just going to fall right in line if she found her way back in the State House as your governor. She'll fall right in line with the Biden-Harris agenda. It's brought inflation to a 40-year high, gasoline prices through the roof, facilitated a crime wave in our major cities, and caused the worst crisis on our southern border in American history. So in 7 days, I have a couple things to ask of you. Number one, from the show of hands about how many of you already voted, I got to tell the rest of you didn't get those hands up to, first and foremost, vote, Georgia. Vote to re-elect Governor Brian Kemp to 4 more years. And remember, friends don't let friends vote alone. Grab a neighbor, grab a coworker, get to the polls and get out and vote. Vote early, vote on Election Day. It matters just that much. Secondly, I can tell by your enthusiasm coming out on a sunny day like today, you all know how important this election is. And so I want to encourage you. Talk to your neighbors and friends across a backyard fence or your coworkers. Email your family members around the state. Tweet if you must. But tell somebody about Brian Kemp. Tell somebody what the stakes are in this election. Because I'm going to tell you something. This may not be the most important election of our lifetime. This may actually be the most important election in the life of our nation. I mean, the people of Georgia and the people of America in this election year have never had a clearer choice between an agenda built on a strong national defense, on free market economics, on an unwavering commitment to traditional values and the sanctity of life, versus an agenda of a weaker America at home and abroad, an America of higher taxes and more government that stifles economic growth, and an America that walks away from the sanctity of life and from the values that have always made this country great and true. So I want you to tell your neighbors and friends, we need Georgia to lead the way to a great American comeback by re-electing Governor Brian Kemp. And finally, the last reason I admire this man and his wife is because They believe in Georgia. They believe in America. And they're people of faith. And so I want to encourage you, if you're inclined to bow the head and bend the knee from time to time, the next 6.5 days will be a good time to do it. I want to encourage you to pray for this good family. Pray for all that they've endured for you to make Georgia more prosperous and more secure. I pray for all of those that are standing in the public square and holding up our values. And finally, I just encourage you to pray for all the people of this state and all the people of this country. Because it's a time, maybe, it seems like, Brian, our politics is more divided now than ever before across this country. But I truly do believe, as those ancient words always remind us, that if his people who are called by his name will humble themselves and pray and turn, that he'll do like he's always done in the long and storied history of this great state and this great nation. He'll hear from heaven, and he'll heal this land, this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So let's pray for the Kemps. Let's pray for Georgia, and let's pray for America. So thank you for coming out today. Thank you for standing for this good man and family. Let's go get it done, Georgia. Let's re-elect Governor Brian Kemp to 4 more years at the State House.
Watch a marching band